Some disturbing new details on the manhunt for a cold-blooded killer in Indianapolis. Police say the pregnant wife of a pastor was shot in the head in an apparent home invasion robbery. The victim, Amanda Blackburn, was disconnected from a ventilator yesterday. She was 12 weeks pregnant with the couple's second child. Her husband was not home at the time, and police say they have cleared him as a suspect. Officers considering whether the murder was linked to other crimes in the neighborhood that day. Let's talk about it with Steve Rogers, retired lieutenant detective for the Nutley, New Jersey Police Department. Dr. Michael Baden is a forensic pathologist and a Fox News contributor. So, Stephen, when you're investigating a crime like this, I mean, it's pretty unusual that a burglar goes to a house with a gun ready to shoot somebody, isn't it?
Yes, very unusual. It's unusual that a burglar goes to a Kosovac because
cul-de-sac,
because there's no real avenue of escape. I would hope that the police, before they cleared the husband, and this is just theory now, that they learned about his pattern, the times he went to the gym before this day, that they learn about the relationship between him and his wife, that they look at the emails and they look at the electronic pattern that may have come into that house via computer and cell telephone.
Well, they don't even have to go to the social media posts and so forth, or the texts between them. He gave a sermon October 27th in which he said, you know, my wife and I got married and everything was great at first, but then we started having problems and they went to marital counseling and that kind of thing.
Yep.
But police have said he's not a suspect.
I just think they discounted him too soon. Look, what was there was a burglary prior to this incident in that house, by the way. And I'm curious as to what was the method of entry of that burglary. There was no forced entry in the house where she was found dead, you know, her home. There's just a lot of loose ends that the police, I would hope before they cleared him, they tightened up.
Dr. Baden, apparently there was just one shot fired. One of the neighbors said they heard gunshots, but will they be able to tell anything? I mean, she survived the initial shooting. She was still alive
48 hours
when her husband came home and found her. So there's nothing there that helps pinpoint the time of death, for instance.
The time of the shooting. The best pinpoint of the time of the shooting is the time the neighbor heard the shot. Now, because she was still alive, rigor mortis lividity hadn't started until after 48 hours when she was disconnected from the ventilator. But there's a lot of evidence on the body that the medical examiner would have already been collecting. Any kind of blood, semen, saliva, hairs or fibers that are on her clothing, that she would, whatever clothing she had on, or on her body. Even after 48 hours, there'd be stuff, material under the fingernails, and DNA will be done on all this, plus on the baby, to make sure that the makeup, the DNA of the baby will also be normally tested. So a lot of questions will be able to be answered after the trace evidence from the body is also looked at by the crime lab.
The DNA of the baby she was carrying. In other words, they're going to want to make sure that her husband was the father of the baby.
That would be routinely done, and they should be doing that. And if it isn't the dad, then of course there are a lot of issues.
And obviously, Stephen, the detectives will be doing comparisons to this other break-in, I guess a couple of doors away.
Oh, that's very key. I've got to tell you, in all my years in law enforcement, not all, but an overwhelming majority of cases like this point directly to someone who knew the victim. And in this case, I think she knew who shot her, and unfortunately, she's not around to tell us.
Well, her husband went to the gym, left the house at 6:11 in the morning, and authorities said that they have video of him going to the gym, and obviously then he comes home and finds his wife on the floor. But they're also saying that the suspect, whoever he may be, must have seen him pulling away from the house.
Well, I spoke to the good doctor earlier, and we agreed that had we been able to discover the time of death, which we couldn't, right, Doc? Because she died later. Sure. That would have been a key piece of evidence, because the question that would be answered is, when she died, did she die before he went to the gym? After he went to the gym? I think that would have been answered, right, Doc?
But that may be answered by the time that the gunshots were fired. At the same time, though, remember, the burglar is seen on a video. It shows you how videos are so important. Burglarizing the house 2 doors away, and allegedly the same guy is seen on videos and security cameras and other places, and seen by neighbors in the area, in the vicinity afterwards. So he's still a good suspect, that fellow. And they have fingerprints. They'll be looking for fingerprints in both houses. And we don't know if there was a sexual assault or not.
It's rare for a burglar to return to the crime on the same street within an hour to burglarize another house, in view of the fact that he's carrying a television set or whatever he took out of the house
took some
put into his
electronics.
put into a car.
All right, fascinating. We'll continue to watch this case. Thanks for helping us dig into it a little bit. Dr. Michael Baden, Steve Rogers, thank you.
Thank you.
Heather.